At the moment, the Buffalo Bills seem to be the favorite to win the AFC East this year in 2020, which I know sounds kind of weird because it's not the Patriots, but anyway, to me, I think that's actually kind of nonsense, and I think even the Dolphins could be a better team this year. I want to say two things before I start things off though. One, I made a video earlier that goes over who I really think is going to win the division. This video is just solely on why the Miami Dolphins could be better than the Buffalo Bills this year. And two, I get it, the coaching staff in Buffalo is really good, I'll admit that, and they're doing all the right things, particularly in getting Stephon Diggs so that Josh Allen, has an actual weapon to throw it to on offense. But I do think there's also some glaring red flags on the Bills that no one's really looking at either, and some of those actually factor into how the Dolphins could be a better team. I'm going to try to make this actually why the Dolphins are better than the Bills, not just why the Bills are going to suck this year. But anyway, here we go. I have 3 reasons. They all kind of have to do with red flags for the Bills, but also just why the Dolphins could be better. Anyway, number 1 is better quarterback. This, of course, is the most important position in football, and while, yes, Tua is unproven, and Josh Allen did show some flashes last year, I think Fitzpatrick, first of all, was the best quarterback in the division last year, and to be honest, I don't think that changes this year. And second, Allen is just a little too inconsistent, because yeah, he had all those fourth quarter comebacks, but that was still against garbage teams. And look at their schedule this year, which by the way, that's another red flag is their schedule. Like, their schedule last year was a bit of a joke, so this year, when they have a much harder schedule, I think we'll start to see the Bills actually could be frauds. But anyway, about Josh Allen, he's just way too inconsistent. And the fact that the Dolphins have a better quarterback than the Bills currently, not only is that a red flag for the Bills this year, but that's just an overall reason the Dolphins could be better. Number 2 is the Dolphins are built like a more modern NFL team. The NFL in 2020 is way different than it was back then. If you're trying to convince yourself that it's still defense that wins you games nowadays, you are kidding yourselves. Because the teams that stay good on a yearly basis nowadays are teams like, the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, the Saints, Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, the Texans with Deshaun Watson, and they don't have DeAndre Hopkins anymore, but that still proves my point on before. Usually the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. It's all these teams that have the better offenses in the league. The Chiefs did not have a good defense, by the way. You can have good defensive teams like the 2017 Jags and the 2018 Bears, but where are they now? And where were they a year after that? They weren't good. The Bills aren't built for modern football. They kind of just have a good defense, but a really bad offense. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have a good defense, by the way. Like, of course it's good to have that. I'm just saying it's much more important to have a good offense than defense nowadays. And the Dolphins have better receivers, they have a better tight end, and they have a better quarterback. Bills just don't have that. And especially with a much tougher schedule again, we could start to see some of those offensive flaws, and it could be that a lot of times defense was probably just picking on some of the bad teams. I think the Dolphins are just kind of built more like a modern football team. And number 3 is the culture, and again, I know the Bills have a good culture, and I've went over the Dolphins culture in the Patriots video. Overall, it just seems like they really do like playing for each other. Ever since, to be honest, they just kept losing. I think Brian Flores and his whole team just kind of had enough. And they actually put up a bit of a show at the end of the season, including beating the Patriots, which the Bills can't do, by the way. But anyway, the reason I say culture here is mainly because of Stephon Diggs. And I know you're probably confused because I said this was a good move earlier, and he is a good player in general. But Jesus, he a crybaby sometimes. If he thinks that Kirk Cousins not playing the best is the worst, then wait till you get overthrown by Josh Allen probably 5 times a quarter. Like, that will play a factor into the culture, at least between those two. And that always affects the season. Can you not really, envision yourself thinking, week 15, Josh Allen overthrows Stephon Diggs, and they start arguing on the sidelines, and they fall to, 6-8 or something like that. I don't know, man. That just seems a little too likely to me. I'm not saying Josh Allen can't improve, but it's just he's not showing that much consistency. I guess he just has to prove it. The Dolphins just don't have that. Everyone likes their quarterback, and their receivers never really complain anyway, but just in general, they play very well. So yeah, culture could play a factor. overall, that's kind of it, man. Like, I think the Dolphins and Bills are surprisingly pretty well matched, actually. But I think overall, those things could make the Dolphins a better football team in 2020. Let me know what you think. Next week, I'm going over the Bills. Actually, not next week. Next Thursday. Or, I'm sorry, not even the Bills. I'm stuttering right now. The Jets. I'm going over that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Fins up. I'll catch you later.